Good morning, welcome back to the channel. Anyone new around here, hi, I'm Laura. I talk all things triathlon, racing, fitness and just having a great time. So if you're new, make sure to subscribe. Currently documenting my whole prep for the Ironman World Championships in Kona. But for today's video, I put a question box out on my Instagram the other day and wasn't quite expecting to get so many questions. Like for someone with not very many followers, I was like, oh, I'll probably get like 5 questions. I got 35. So I thought rather than just be the talking head on Instagram, I'd put them into a YouTube video and just like quick fire answer them. Got Gaz behind the camera. He's going to ask all the questions and yeah, a bit of a mix of triathlon and life questions. Join us on our dog walk while we answer questions.
Question 1, what's the best holiday spot for doing the big 3? Food, sightseeing and cycling.
You know what, I think for us, we would say Palma. A lot of people when they go to Mallorca would say like Alcudia and Polenta and that side of the island, but we prefer the other side of the island. It's a little bit quieter when it comes to cyclists. Yeah, it's beautiful. So Palma, because then you've got really easy access to obviously great bike rides, but obviously it's a really beautiful city. The food, some of the restaurants, we've had some of the best food there, haven't we? Just incredible food. And I just think a really beautiful city, like really clean, a nice vibe in the city, lovely bars, lovely restaurants. So for us, Palma.
Have you ever considered doing Ironman Wales?
Oh, 100%. I think 2 people have asked that. 100%. Gaz has... Sorry, Hank's just pooing. Hold, let's just pick that up. Lovely.
Start again. Have you ever considered doing Ironman Wales?
Yes, yes, I have. That and Ironman Lanzarote, I think, are 2 races that are just like bucket list races. A hard day out. I mean, any Ironman's a hard day out, but those in particular look brutal. And I think it's like a real, like if you've done Ironman Wales or done Ironman Lanzarote, like no one cares about your time or anything. They're just like, wow, you're impressive doing Ironman Wales. Oh my God, these dogs. We just put Hank on the lead because he can't be trusted. Yeah, basically, yeah, Ironman Wales, absolutely at some point, bucket list race to get ticked off, hard day out. And yeah, I would one day. I don't know when, but one day.
What is your necklace that you always wear with a H on it?
H for hero. Harold, my firstborn, my dog, my French bulldog, but also Hank as well, and Hazel, my mum and dad's dog. So it's just nice.
All the H's.
Yeah, I didn't get a G because.
And him. Like him.
Yeah. So yeah, the dog. The question was right. Yes, it was my dog Hero, but then also it just so happens that Hank's a H and Hazel's a H, so it's for the pups.
What made you switch from bodybuilding to triathlon?
Oh, okay, so I think with bodybuilding it just stopped like aligning with how I wanted to live my life. I think, well, any sport that you take to a high level is gonna take over your life to a certain extent, but I feel bodybuilding is just that next level. Like it really does restrict what you can do in life, especially when it comes to like, I don't know, going out for meals with your friends and going for drinks, even like traveling. There's so much to think about, especially when you're in prep and even in off season, trying to get enough food in, having to just be so in control of every different aspect of your life, which, you know, taught me a hell of a lot in terms of like about nutrition and about discipline. Taught me so much, but it just got to a point where it didn't align with how I wanted to live my life. And also I was really bored of going through phases of being really lean and then being not as lean and having to have like 2 sets of jeans for different sizes and different clothes and not knowing if certain things were going to fit. I was just over just my fluctuation in how my body looked. Yeah, I just found more fulfillment in the training for doing, when I got into running, and I just really found it was just, I just enjoyed it so much and just wanted to try something different and realised I wasn't too bad at it. Hank, can we walk?
I've got Ironman 70.3 Bolton. When should I start my taper? Everyone's
preps are so different, so I don't know like about your training in particular, but I would say around like 10 days out. I mean, from like with my athletes, from about 4 weeks out, we're like tapering slightly in that, you know, we will have done our longest run and we will have done the longest ride, so everything's kind of tapering down. But I would say from about 10 days out is when you're wanting to really like hone in on recovery and, you know, taking some rest days and really starting to focus on recovery. But I guess it does depend on how you built into it. Like some of my athletes have a sprint triathlon like 2 weeks prior to the 70.3, so their taper will look different to someone else who hasn't raced 2 weeks before, so everyone's different, but I guess a rule of thumb, maybe around like 10 days out, I think should do you.
3 questions about coaching. So about price, which I don't think is the right place for it. What is your coaching offering, I guess?
Yeah, with pricing, there's no point in me just being like, here's the price, because there's no context behind it. Oh, look at the horses over there. Yeah, in terms of coaching, I guess every athlete is different, and I tailor the coaching to each individual athlete. So for some athletes, I speak to them on Zoom calls every other week, whereas some athletes, I'm like messaging them like, are you okay? Like they're just cracking on with their training. So different athletes need different levels of support. So we kind of build that around the athlete, and there'll be some weeks and months that you require more support where we talk a bit more, and versus other months where you're just cracking on. So we kind of build the contact and the coaching around each individual athlete, but every athlete is set up on Training Peaks. So that's the software we use. We think it's the best one for endurance athletes. Each athlete gets programmed on a weekly basis. We touch base on a daily basis really, because every athlete will comment on each sessions, and I'll be following up on each session each day. Actually, you'll just be working with me one-to-one. Your plan will look different from someone else's, because it is a individualized, personalized plan to use. There's no hard and fast rule, and what I always say is like, let's just jump on a call and talk through it and how it would work for you. I'm not just like, here's a booklet, that's my coaching, go and read it, because it's different for everyone. But what comes with coaching is we've got Emily, our nutritionist. Our athletes have a direct support from a nutritionist, and then also we have a rehab team as well. So for any athletes who pick up any niggles, oh, hero, come, heel. Wow, look at those Bambis. Heel. Sorry, got distracted by deer. Any athletes who pick up any niggles and injuries along the way, or come to us with pre-existing injuries, we've got a rehab team that they can talk to directly. You know what, for me, I just really care about my athletes, and I want them to just be happy, and I want them to enjoy it. And you know, the community is a really big thing, and that's something I've really pushed this year, because I've really understood that people like community, especially in triathlon. I'm a bit of a lone wolf and I just crack on my head down, but some people really enjoy communicating with other athletes doing the same races. So we've really worked on building that this year, and we've got a lot of athletes who have met up, or who are coming to like our athlete day. We did an athlete weekend, so we're doing more community events and just getting people involved a lot more, which people are enjoying.
Kona, do you have any plans on racing in the States anytime soon?
Yes, we are doing Rockford 70.3, so Rockford, Illinois. So we fly out to Chicago mid-June, because Gaz is doing the High Rocks World Championships, and then the following weekend it just so happened that Rockford 70.3 is on, so we extended our trip for another week, and we will be racing that, which should be an experience. It'll be good practice for me, because I think it's due to be hot for Rockford, so that's good practice, but also it's good to see how my body sort of responds to like the jet lag and the travel, because when we arrive to when we race is a similar distance between when I arrive in Kona and race in Kona. So I think it'll just all be very good prep. And also I have 3 other athletes racing Rockford, and I've got quite a few athletes out in the States. So 8 to 10 of my athletes are stateside. It'll be nice to meet some of them as well. I'm going to try and meet up with them.
What does success on the day look like in Kona?
Ooh. Surviving. we haven't outlined goals yet. I think the rest of that question was like just qualifying as a win itself, and that I'm really proud of how I qualified. And at the time I wanted to go sub 10 hours in order to qualify. I didn't just want to accept a spot because it had rolled down to me and just going. So that for me was one of the big wins, going to Kona in sub 10 hours. And I would say, I don't know what a win would look like in Kona. Yeah, knowing I went out there and gave it my all off the back of, I think the win as well is making sure that I've given everything to the prep, like not just the swim, bike and run, but like the heat prep. That's going to be such a huge part of training, and just knowing I gave everything to training. I don't know guys. I think just completing Kona, I think in it is a win in itself, just because of how humid and crazy the conditions are, the wind, everything that we could tackle on the day. So I think just a finish.
First timer doing Ironman Wales, massively overthinking fueling. Any tips?
Wow, first Ironman, doing Ironman Wales, that's impressive, bloody hell. You've got plenty of time before Ironman Wales to practice your fueling. Like, it shouldn't even be a question on the day of what you're going to be doing. So what I always say to my athletes is every time you do a long bike or a long run or a long weekend session, use that as like not a dress rehearsal, you don't have to be in your full kit, but you know, what are you going to eat the night before that race or that training session? If you're practicing, like what you're going to have the morning of, which gels, just trying out a few different gels and different solids. I would say for an Ironman, even 70.3 as well, I think alternating between gel and solid is a good way to go about it. Obviously it's a long day and you're going to get hungry, but I think just to avoid that taste fatigue is important. You know, practicing your hydration, how many milligrams of sodium, for example, you know, Gaz has 1500 whereas I have 500, so I think practicing that as well. Yeah, don't just wing it, really in your training sessions really think, right, today this is what I'm practicing, and then when you finish, you know, how did I feel? Actually I had a stomach ache, or I felt cramped, and then just analyze, right, next time I'm going to change this. And so it is a bit of trial and error, unless, you know, you can get in and do some sweat testing and do some proper testing, or have someone build a plan out for you. If you're doing it on your own, it is a bit of trial and error, but you've got plenty of time to do that. So obviously that's your responsibility to make sure you practice that, and don't just get to the week before be like, right, what gels am I having? How much should I eat? Because that'll just cause you more stress. You don't need to be stressed on the day. This nutrition is something that should just be covered and sorted.
How many hours a week should I train for an Ironman?
That's a real, it depends one. I think as a minimum though, like, because I think so many people are wanting to step up to the Ironman distance and thinking, oh, it's fine, I can just wing that. Like, I think Ironman is one of those that you can't just wing and be like, oh, I can get by with just doing the old session like every other day. I would say you're looking at a minimum of 10 hours, like, to fit everything in. That's obviously going to increase, and the majority of that is going to come from those like big weekend sessions. As a starting point, like an absolute minimum amount of training is going to be around that 10 to 12 hour mark, if you take into consideration, like even at like 16 weeks out, you're going to need to be doing 3-4 hour ride at the weekend, so that's 4 hours already taken up. I would say as a minimum you want to be getting in the pool twice a week, and then maybe the open water as well, so that brings that up to 3. If you can do 3 swims, 3 bikes, 3 runs, if you're able to recover from that, then I think that's sort of a good starting point. Minimum of 10. So yeah.
Why is your fiance such a good hype man?
Because he cares about me and my goals. You know, my goals are really important to me. Pushing myself is a really important thing and something I value in life. And I think as an extension of that, because I think it's a topic that comes up quite a lot, is that, you know, obviously your partner or your family, you know, they don't have to be, like when I was bodybuilding, my family weren't bodybuilding with me, and I'm lucky Gaz does do triathlon, but even if he wasn't a triathlete, it doesn't need to be that you have to be doing the same goal. But I think it's really important that the people around you understand your goals and why they're important to you, and should care about your goals as well. If they don't, then they're not people you want around you. But I think it's really important that you share your goals with other people and have them understand why they're important, because then they can just be there as that support. And I used to say it all the time when I used to coach more fat loss clients, you know, if you're trying to lose weight and your partner's then every evening sat on the sofa with a big bag of crisps and a tub of ice cream, that's going to make it really, really difficult unless you have the self-control and the discipline of an absolute elite athlete. You're just fighting an uphill battle. So I think having people around you who just get it will just make your journey so much easier and so much more fun as well. Like Gaz and I have fun with it, supporting each other. Like, I can't wait to go to the High Rocks World Championships and support him, and, you know, help him with the things that he needs, and he'll do the same for me, because we care about each other's goals, because we know that it makes us happy.
What watch do you recommend?
So I've always been a Garmin girl, and the one I've got is the Garmin Fenix 7S. I've got the S because it's a smaller, so they do the S, the 7, and then the X. The X is massive, so I've got the S because it just fits nicely. I mean, I've got quite small wrists, but it does just like fit quite nicely on my wrist. So yeah, the Fenix is really good for triathlon. I think the Forerunner is as well. Obviously there's
most Garmin's are now.
Yeah, they're all at that level. Obviously the Fenix 8 has come out now, I think, so I think probably the 7 is slightly cheaper. I did recently have to send mine back and get it fixed because like the altimeter wasn't working.
Was that simple?
No, it wasn't simple. Got locked in the UPS locker for 3 weeks. But usually it should be a straightforward process, and it was, I think it's a 2-year warranty, I think, or something. So they just took it back and swapped it for a new one, so I thought that was quite good. But yeah, a Garmin, if you're doing triathlon or even like long distance running, get a Garmin. Got some more beginner athletes who have like a Fitbit and just anything to try and like track their distance and things. But you know, if you're wanting to take things a bit more seriously, get a bit more data, have the battery life last, then I would definitely recommend a Garmin personally. I did have one other one that I didn't screenshot. Actually, one of a girl that follows me said, do I wear my engagement ring in the open water? And the answer is no, because it will come off. It is quite loose for me, don't want to lose it, and also I think it would get really dull in the water. So yeah, that was another one I didn't screenshot.
Man Barcelona, have you heard if it's a good course?
Yeah, I've never done it, but I've heard it's pretty fast and flat, so I think good for a first timer. So yeah, I've heard it's decent, but I've never done it myself.
Any tips for someone doing their first ever 70.3?
Oh, first things first, go and watch my YouTube video that I posted like 2 weeks ago. That's some good tips in there for your first 70.3. I would say make sure to study the course, make sure to practice your nutrition, because that step up from like standard, if you've done the standards up 70.3, is quite big, so you need to be making sure that you're fueling quite a lot. Nothing can prepare you really for that first run off the bike when it comes to that half marathon. Just know that it might feel quite hard, especially as you get off the bike. Try build into the half marathon and just enjoy it. Like your first 70.3 or your first Ironman, it's such a vibe. So don't be like, oh, I need to get this time and I need to go do this. Don't think about that sort of stuff. I didn't have any targets like that for my first 70.3. Like, just finish and just soak it all in and enjoy it.
How do you manage race day nerves?
Oh God, cry on the start line. I usually have a bit of a cry on the start line, but I spoke to my coach about this the other day actually, and I think a couple of things. I think it's always more nerve-wracking at the beginning of the season because you're not racing in a while, so it feels like a lot. So I think the more you practice racing, the better you get at controlling those nerves. And I think I really focus on my breathing. Breathe in for 3, hold for 3, out for 3, like box breathing. I personally don't, like the days before, I don't go and spend too much time down at like the athlete village, and I speak to people. Obviously I'm not that antisocial, but I try and just keep myself to myself, because I think being around more people just causes me more stress, and then you start to stress about things you haven't been stressing about. So I just try and keep myself to myself and just focus on me and my race plan. Yeah.
What trainers do you wear currently for training and racing?
Asics Novolast, which I also am walking in. Asics Novolast, I think they're like the 5s or something, the most recent ones. Love them, super comfortable. And then I race in the Saucony Endorphin Elites. The new ones, the number 2s, have just come out, but I've had about 4 or 5 pairs of the number 1s onto number 2s, and yeah, can't fault them. Never had any blisters or issues or anything. They're expensive, but all super shoes are expensive these days. So thank you for watching. Hopefully you took some useful bits of advice from there, and make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video, which will be, I'm racing tomorrow, Southport standard distance. I've not raced a standard distance in about 6 years. My first ever standard distance was the one I'm doing tomorrow, so the goal is to go and absolutely smash that time. So we'll see, that'll be the next video. See you there. Thanks for watching.